Welcome to the Playbook, where every move matters, every story inspires, and every moment says, I choose sport. Today, we're uncovering how sports can open doors for everyone, no matter the age or ability. In today's Playbook, we examine not just strength needed to execute the play, but the true mettle of the athletes to push beyond physical limits. Our first guest knows this all too well. I'm your host, Aaron Fingal, and let's get into the Playbook.
When I was born, my mom cried and my dad cried because they were shocked. I started swimming at the age of 4. I said, Mom and Dad, I want to go swimming because everyone else is swimming. Why can't I swim too? And once you have people to support you around you who are willing, you'll reach far. One of my proudest moments as an athlete was when I went to Youth Pan American Games in Argentina. That's when I competed and I won 4 gold medals. And being able to hear my national anthem play 4 times was just like a thank you. To give back, to show my parents and the people that supported me, it wasn't in vain. Yes, you face challenges. Everyone faces challenges. But you're given this life because you're strong enough to live it.
Don't ever pity me for the way I was born. Very powerful words from our next guest, Chantal Ince. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you've broken barriers and made waves literally in the world of swimming, from earning 2 bronze medals in the 2011 Pan American Games in Guadalajara, 4 gold medals in the 2013 Pan American Games in Argentina, and also making it to the finals of the 2016 Rio Paralympics. Now tell me, how did your career as a para-athlete all begin?
My career as a para-athlete actually began in 2010. Prior to that, I learned to swim at the age of 4 with my kindergarten, G's private school, and one of their mottos, they always said that a good beginning makes a brilliant ending. So for me, I competed, I learned to swim. From there on, I made my first national team at the age of 8, which was goodwill, competing against everyone else, 2 arms, 2 legs type of thing. Went on, continued competing, and eventually in 2010, I was able to compete at Commonwealth Games with everyone as a Paralympic athlete and really building to that process. So it has been incredible. Really a good journey thus far.
I like that. That is amazing. So tell me, how did you navigate a space that wasn't always ready for para-athletes, and what kept you pushing forward?
Okay, that's a really good question, Aaron. So navigating spaces as a Paralympic athlete, for me personally, it had to be through my faith in Jesus and my family support, and understanding through my faith that I am fearfully and wonderfully made by God, that I can do all things through Christ who has strengthened me, having the support of my family even when other people did not believe in me. It was integral to the person that I am today and the accomplishments that I was able to achieve later on.
That is lovely, and that definitely gave you that extra push, physically and mentally. Now, we all know that support, especially financial support for these major endeavors, is always some sort of a challenge. But you have luckily in the past been able to land major sponsorship. Tell us how that journey was, and how was that relationship with that sponsor?
That journey, up until that point, I did not have any support at all, and really competing and exposing and highlighting, putting Trinidad and Tobago back on the map in 2012 to compete at the London 2012 Games. It was really an opportunity where Trinidad and Tobago hadn't seen athletes from its country and even the Caribbean, the wider Caribbean, in 24 years. Once my achievements were highlighted, they reached out to the Paralympic Association. Now, Paralympics is different from Special Olympics.
Right.
Paralympics is more physical disabilities, and Special Olympics is more intellectual disabilities. So at that time, shedding a light of Paralympic sport and what it really is became their mission, and they partnered with us in that 2012 to really give me the opportunity and the finances needed to get to that level, to get the gears, the equipment, and even that family support, because that was incredibly special for me. That family support, my family were able to come and fly out and cheer me on, right? And it's something that I've been really blessed and grateful for.
Most definitely. That is some great support, and I'm sure that would have definitely helped in your journey. Guys, don't go anywhere. We will be right back very soon with Chantal Ince with some more insights and stories right here on The Playbook. Welcome back to The Playbook, ladies and gents, where we are discussing sports for all. Here with us is the amazingly talented Chantal Ince, and I'm so excited to introduce our next guest. He has worked tirelessly to raise awareness about Special Olympics, advocating for inclusion and encouraging young athletes with disabilities to chase their dreams. Please welcome Ferdinand Bibby, National Director of the Special Olympics here in Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome, Ferdinand. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Now, guys, today we are going to be playing a little game called Would You Rather, where we are going to get to know you all better through some multiple choice questions. All right? I've given you two options, and you have to tell me, would you rather the A option or the B option? You will show us the paddle, and you'll show us the answer if it's A or if it's B, and then we'll have a little discourse to see why those are the selections that you all made. All right? So you all ready to play the game?
Yeah.
Yes, ready.
Okay, nice. Would you rather have a perfect training session or have a flawless competition? A, perfect training session, or B, have a flawless competition? All right, you said B, you want a flawless competition. Why?
Flawless competition because I want everything to run smoothly. I want to stand on that podium. I want everything that I would have worked on in training to be executed well on the day.
Okay,
That's my answer.
All right, I like that answer. Ferdinand, you said you want to have a perfect training session. Why you want to have the perfect training session?
Practice makes permanent. So doing it over and repeating it well in training, once you get it right, you will transfer it
That is what we're
in the
talking
competition.
about. So once you have that perfect training session, you know when you reach the competition, you're killing them. All right, next. Would you rather win a medal in your current sport, that is A, or B, excel in a new sport? So A, you're winning in your current sport. All right, everybody is winning in
Yes,
their current
yes, we
sport.
did, yeah.
You don't want to bother trying a new thing here. Why you want to keep it in the sport that you love?
Well, the next sport, it can always transfer
Yes.
over. So
You want to make your name.
Yes, for
you
sure.
make your name first in your sport and then go on to the other sport.
All right, cool. So we have 2 A's on the board there for that one. All right, we winning in our current sport. Next one. Would you rather train with a famous athlete or B, train with a legendary coach? A, athlete, B, coach. Who you want to train with? All right. Chantal, you said you want to train with a legendary coach. Why you want to train with a coach?
Because legendary coaches produce legendary athletes.
All right.
So being trained by a legend, eventually I can make it to the top, or to the top and be myself a legend in my own right.
All right. Ferdinand, you said you want to train with a famous athlete. Why is that?
Well, sometimes the athlete have the inside S about what happens during the sport, during competing, that he might be able to give you that the coach may not always have.
Let me put you on the spot. All right, so what famous athlete would you want to train with? Any sport.
Any sport.
Brian Charles Lara, boy. Yeah, man, I'm a partner, you know.
Yeah.
Brian Lara, you heard it right here.
Yeah.
Putting and looking for little classes. We organize a little cricket match there, right? All right, so the next one. Would you rather have an extra hour of training or have an extra hour of rest? An extra hour training, A, or extra hour of rest, B? Oh, they like to rest. I will go down here.
No.
All right.
I've understood now the importance of rest. Before, if you had asked me this question about like 10 years ago, I would say train. But the rest is just as important as working hard so your body gets time to recover and be able to perform at the optimal level.
All right. And you agree?
Yeah, same thing. The unprepared or underprepared athlete would want to train more.
Yeah.
But if you fine-tune your training, you would understand, yes, the rest have just as an important part to play.
I completely agree. You see, I train so vigorously. When I end my training sessions, I go in so hard. I just need that extra hour rest. I often take the extra hour rest. I don't know if you can tell. I'm a rester. I just rest. So, the final question I have for you all. Would you rather A, travel to compete, or B, stay local but win it all at a local level? You're traveling out there on A, or B, you're staying in Trinidad but you're winning everything.
That's hard.
You ain't sure, boy.
Yeah, I could do it this way.
No. You have to choose one. So Chantal, you said A. You rather travel to compete. I mean, you like outside.
No, it's not that. I feel like when we get that opportunity to travel outside, you know, bring Trinidad and Tobago to the fore to share our culture, show what we have here, our talent and our passion, that, you know, we're not just a small island. You know, we're so much greater than that. So the legacy that we bring each time that we step out on that world stage is something to really enjoy.
I like that. You hear that nice answer there?
Yeah, no.
Let me hear you.
Well, that's why I was hedging, because yes, you want to win, but when you look at some of our sports teams, we win here, Defense Force, beating everybody in Trinidad. But then when we go to the Caribbean, we get in leaks. So winning at home is one thing, but the real test
For sure.
is
when you head out
to
represent.
going outside and seeing how big a fish it really is.
All right. Some of those answers definitely surprised me a bit. I wonder if they surprised you all as well. Stay tuned to the playbook. We'll be right back after this. Now, Ferdinand, you have seen both sides of the coin, both as a competing athlete and also in the administration side of things as well. Can you tell me about the shift you would have made going into the administration side of the athletics?
Going into administration was a progression. After years of competing, it was natural just to start coaching and then go into full-blown office.
Right. And can you tell me what are some of the biggest challenges that are facing special needs athletes in Trinidad and Tobago today?
Well, it would be exclusion based on either stigmatization or overprotection, where parents believe that their child should not go out to play because they might be harmed.
And Chantal, as an athlete who lives and competes in the space right here in Trinidad and Tobago, what is something that young athletes should understand about excelling in the light of these challenges?
I believe that athletes should really understand who they are and their goals and their dreams as to what they want to accomplish, rather than people's expectations of them, you know, and limits that may want to be placed upon them. So I believe they should understand and have that mindset that whatever they put their minds to, with the help of their coaches and the environments that they are placed in, once they are facilitated well, I pray that even the right resources be made available. Once they have that and they can have that opportunity to compete in sport and participate in sport, it is a good avenue for them to just give it their best every single time.
Once the resources are there,
yes,
it gives them that opportunity, you would say.
Most definitely, and the support.
Definitely. I know you said a lot about the support and how much it has helped you in your career as well. So Ferdinand, as someone who is still so deeply involved in the special needs athletics, what do you believe are some things that are still needed to further the sport for our special needs athletic?
I would say access. Chantal spoke about resources, access to venues to train, access to venues to compete, access to clubs, because it's one thing to be in a school and have training in your school environment, but when you go home, you also need that opportunity to be able to go and train, be a part of a club, be part of a team of other athletes. So that type of inclusion would go a long way.
Most definitely. I see you talking about the clubs and the schools as well. Do you see the role of both the government and the private sector in providing support and resources necessary to help these special needs athletes thrive? Are you seeing that, or you think more needs to be done?
Of course. The whole idea is shared responsibility. So you have the individual athlete who has that individual responsibility to train and improve the performance. But you also need that support from the government. They have the majority of sporting facilities, so to provide access to special need athletes, and then the corporate citizen, the government, the NSO, the athlete cannot do it by themselves.
Piggybacking off of that, what do you think are the necessary steps that need to be taken to take our special needs athletics to the next level?
Walking the talk. we all talk about sports for all, inclusion. All the sporting organizations have as part of their strategic objective grassroots sports and improving grassroots level. What we need is to put that into action, provide spaces. If the community club would allow athletes with special needs to come and train in that environment, then you would find everyone get a better idea of appreciation or acceptance, even respect for the person who has the disability and is willing to compete.
Thank you so much for your insight, and thank you for opening our eyes to these things that may not have that light shone on them. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we look at athletes who continue to defy time, setting new standards to sports longevity. Now this is the time where we break down practical advice for athletes at every stage of their career. Sitting across from me is Gwendolyn Smith, who has competed in the track and field and cricket space for years and continues to dominate the senior games. Gwendolyn, some people believe that athletes have a shelf life. What inspired you to continue in sports?
To me, athlete does not have a shelf life. Anytime you put a shelf life on yourself is because you are putting limits on who you are. You have to explore who you are and what you can do. And it doesn't matter age. You just explore and work on who you are as an individual.
Most definitely, I have to agree with that. Now, there are so many benefits to sports and physical activity at every age. Can you share some advice for wanting to start sports later in life?
It's not actually starting later, but as I said, it's exploring what you can do still
Right.
at whatever age you can, because the human body actually does not have a limit. We put that limitation onto the human body. If we work on who we are, we work on our fitness, our health, our strength, at any age we can be anything that we want to be. And I think I'm a living example of that.
I know that you're into the track and field and the cricket space. Are those sports that you would have started at a very young age and continued all the way through, or did you stop and start back? And what made you get passionate about those sports when you started?
First I started running on the road and playing basketball.
Okay.
I was actually a basketballer.
So you're playing all these sports then?
Yes, I did. And as I said, I was exploring what I can do at a younger age. And due to an injury playing cricket, I got struck in my face.
Oh no.
And I stayed off from the sport for about 2 years because of the fear for getting another hit in my face. So it was psychological.
Yes, for sure.
But they kept begging me to come back into the cricket because I was one of the fast bowlers. So they kept begging me to come back into the cricket. So I had to make a decision, and I did. I went back into the cricket, and not long after that went on to the national team. And after I went on to the West Indies team, and I was the opening fast bowler for West Indies. So during the time I was off cricket, I started throwing javelin.
I find you playing all the sports. So you started with
Cricket,
basketball,
yeah.
and then you got to cricket,
Yeah.
and then javelin.
Yeah, so I was called for basketball national team and cricket national team same time. So I had to make a choice between which one I wanted to do.
You didn't have the time to do the both at the same time.
No, not
That's too
at
much
that
training.
time.
You're training all day, every day, twice a week.
So I just choose one, and then after I was injured, I looked for something else to do, and then I started going to the tracks in Paliseco and started doing javelin because they say cricketers are normally good javelin throwers. So I went on to doing the javelin and then broke the national record. That was there for 16 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So
then
the skills just transferred.
it just
over.
transferred into the other sport, and it just keep transferring into different things.
Some people, I believe, are just blessed with natural abilities and talent. So people like you and I now, we just have all these skills. You understand? I am not as skilled in all the sports as you, but that is definitely amazing. So, if you could share with me a major challenge that you would have faced in your sporting career, because now I have to say sporting because it's 5-6 sports you've played. What would you say was a major challenge, and how you overcame that challenge?
I came from a humble family, a family of sporting background, but a very humble family. So parents didn't have like the amount of money to have you. So financially it was difficult because back then we weren't so fortunate to have the money that they have now in sport thrown at us. So everything was out of your parents' pocket.
Right.
So anything you were interested in, you had to fund everything for yourself. So that was one of the major challenges for me, but I kept moving on to keep doing what I do best.
So Gwendolyn, what would you say is one of the biggest game changers that are available to the youths today that want to get into sports that may not have been available to you when you were starting out?
One of the biggest game changers I would say is technology and marketing. Back then you were only marketing yourself by people knowing that you are good at whatever you do.
Right.
But now you can actually use technology to push your game, to push your sport, to push whatever. And once you go out there and people get familiar with you, that makes it very easy now for you to market yourself. So technology is working alongside with the marketing side of it, which is making it very easy for the younger athletes to really sell themselves as a good product.
Most definitely. Gwendolyn, I think you have such an amazing story and such a diverse skill set, being able to transfer your skills into so many different sports. I could barely play football alone, and I have my little footballer, but when you see I start to go to the other sports, I start to struggle a little bit. So before we wrap today, I would like you to tell me, what is something that you would hope other people can take away from your story? What can they learn from you?
What I would give as an advice is to to follow your dreams, and to never ever sell yourself short. Once you work on whatever your abilities are, you are able to see much more than you actually, because most time we doubt ourselves. So in doubting ourselves, we actually sell ourselves short. Never ever give up, because I was always inspired by anything that was on the negative side for me. I let that work for me as a positive, and I still do it. So I look for whatever in the, as people would consider negative, for me it's not negative, because I'm looking in there to find out what can I do to make this better, or to advance myself, or to do something differently that would work for me.
Most definitely. So take any negatives that they're throwing at you.
Find the positive in it.
Find the positive in it. Gwendolyn, thank you so much for joining us here today on the Playbook. That's all the time we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to all our guests for stopping in. We've seen how sports truly is for everyone. So guys, there are no excuses. We have given you the play-by-play, hearing from the experts themselves. Resilience, confidence, and mental strength are the key ingredients that can propel you to succeed on and off the field. For anyone interested in getting involved, be sure to go to ichoosesport.com/theplaybook for programs supported by the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, like the Special Olympics or the Senior Games. Sports changes lives, so let's make sure everyone gets their chance to play. Gwendolyn, thank you again so much for being on the Playbook with us, and we'll see you next time.